Hello boys and girls, Steve Fletcher here and welcome to the Everything Guide to Learning Guitar. Before we get started, can I ask you please to subscribe to my YouTube channel, like this video, make sure that little notification bell is engaged so that I can continue to grow my online business. Okay, so we're entering section 4 of my tuition guide, the Everything Guide to Learning to Play Guitar. Section 4 is the bar chord section. Bit of good news and a bit of bad news. The good news is we only have to learn 4 songs to complete this section. The bad news is, and I'm sorry to have to say it, there's quite a bit of waffle to get through. This first video is largely just me explaining what happens with the bar chords, how to get them right, and all of that stuff. I'm sorry that it's a bit long-winded, but it is really, really important. So if you can stick with me all the way through, it will help you out in the long run. So I would definitely say the most important set of chords that you'll ever learn to play are the bar chords. So why don't we learn them first? Well, the simple fact is that they're really, really hard. I often remark to my pupils that it's kind of like the summit of Everest when it comes to chord learning. This is, they take a large amount of effort to achieve, but once you've got to the top, you are literally as high as you will ever be with regard to chord difficulty. Now the bar chords are named so because of the position of your first finger, which must lay flat or bar across up to all 6 strings at once. Now that's the hard part, getting your first finger to lay down across all of those strings evenly, okay? Whilst your other fingers are standing up as normal. That's the other hard part, is getting everything in its rightful place, standing up straight and ringing nicely. Now I'm not going to lie to you, it's going to take you some time to develop the hand strength required to push down on all 6 strings evenly with just 4 fingers. No matter what age you're at, no matter what age you're starting to learn to play at, you will not have that strength in your hands straight away. And this is why everyone struggles with bar chords when they first try and do them, okay? Please don't get downhearted. It's not that you're doing anything wrong. They really are just that hard. I'm not selling it very well, I know I'm not, but it's just the way it is. Everyone finds bar chords difficult when they first do them, and it will take you a long time to get to grips with them. So one of the things I really hear very often is, do I have to learn them? So far, we've been sort of stuck here. I mean, stuck is the wrong word, actually. There's nothing wrong with that. You've learned a huge amount of chords. You've learned a huge amount of songs, a huge amount of strumming techniques. You've done insanely well just sticking here. Now, as I've been writing this book over the years, there's been many songs that I've gone, oh, wow, that's a great song. That would be brilliant for section 2. That would be brilliant for section 3. Only to discover that there's at least one bar chord in the song. Now, sometimes you can get around this problem by using a capo and altering the chords that you're playing, but not always. Oftentimes, when you use a capo to remove a bar chord, what you might find that you end up with is a different bar chord in a different place. So there really is no avoiding them, really. You just got to suck it up and crack on with it and just get on with them, really. Yes, they're hard, but they're not impossible. You know, guitarists do them. You know, if they were impossible, then no guitarist would do them. And every guitarist in the world would quit guitar when they got to the bar chord stage. But they don't. Guitarists can play bar chords. You can play bar chords. I'm not special. I'm no different to you. I found bar chords really hard when I first do them. But I've done them. I've just done the work. And I can play them now. And so will you. Can I have some motivation, please, Steve? So yeah, the good news is the thing that makes bar chords brilliant is once you've mastered them, there is no chord that you won't be able to play. This is it when it comes to chord difficulty. This really is as hard as chords are ever gonna get. So once you've mastered the bar chord, the world is your oyster when it comes to playing chords. You can literally play anything. Someone will be able to say to you, can you play me a C sharp minor 7? And you'll be like, yeah, yes I can. You know, and there it is. So because of your bar chords as well, the whole guitar neck will just spontaneously open up. You know, I just said a minute ago is that, you know, we've been stuck. I need another word than stuck, but we've been here on fret 1, 2, and 3 for such a long time. And what happens with your bar chords is you just your whole neck, you go from this area here to this area here. Your whole neck just becomes alive, and you can just play a multitude of, you know, the amount of songs and chords and things that you can do just increases exponentially just because you can play the bar chords. So I always make sure to mention this to my students when we first do this. You will suck at this. It's true, you will probably be dreadful at bar chords for quite some time. And the other thing I need to add to the above is it's okay. You're allowed to be rubbish at the bar chords, and you're allowed to be rubbish at them for quite a while. They are hard, okay? Any guitarist, any guitar teacher who listens to you playing bar chords, you know, oh, you're trying to learn your bar chords, oh, I'm sorry, they are hard, aren't they? I often quip with my students each week that I'm looking for that level of awful, you know, with your bar chords. You know, week 1, the bar chords will just go, you know, they'll just sound like that. They'll just sound like loads of dead notes. Week 2, they might sound like, you know, loads of dead notes plus one nice one. You know, like that. And then the week after that, we might get, you know, loads of bad notes and 2 nice ones. Something like that. So you will escalate in how good you play those bar chords, but it will take some time. And something else you might suddenly find is, like weight training, is you'll go away, you'll put your guitar down, you'll get so sick of it, you'll put it down, you'll leave it overnight. Your muscles and your tendons will heal, and they will get stronger. And you'll find all of a sudden that you know, one of your bar chords will suddenly sound great. You'll be going like this, and then the next day you'll come and it'll go, and you'll be like, whoa, what did I do? And then you put it back and it'll go dead again. But that's a really, really, really good sign that you are getting better at these things. So watch out for these little, you know, small victories which are leading you to your end goal. So I'm just going to finish this last little bit of waffle with a 3-word summary. Keep at it. All right, so let's get down to it. Still a little bit waffly, but we are actually going to play something now. There's actually 2 different sets of bar chords that we're going to look at. We're going to look at the bar chords that are using your E shape and bar chords that use your A shape. And this will all become clear in a moment. Okay, so this first set of bar chords that we're going to do are the ones that are using the E chord shapes. So believe it or not, your E and E minor chords are actually bar chords. The E and the E minor shapes are used in your bar chord. When you're playing a normal E and E minor, your guitar nut, that little piece of plastic at the top of your neck, is doing the job of creating and holding those additional notes. And essentially what you're going to do is you're going to carry on doing those E and E minor shapes with a little finger alteration. And your first finger is going to act as an artificial nut, creating those additional notes. So this will come clear as we do this. Now, before we start, it's worth noting that you don't have to go through this process that I'm about to show you every time you want to create a bar chord. This is just a little bit of background theory to help get you understanding where these bar chords are coming from. When you next go to an F chord or what have you, you'll just go to the F chord. You won't do this whole thing. Here is the E chord. Now what I'm going to do is we're going to adjust the fingers that we use ever so slightly. So instead of using fingers 1 and 2 and 3, we're going to use fingers 2 and 3 and 4. So we've still got the E chord there. We're still doing the E chord, but not with our regular fingers. Now, we're going to slide this shape forward 1 fret. And we're going to add the first finger bar. That will give you the F chord. Okay, so here we have the E minor chord, and sometimes you've seen the E minor done with fingers 1 and 2, but let's adjust those fingers again. So instead of using fingers 1 and 2, or even fingers 2 and 3, we're going to use fingers 3 and 4. So it's the same fingers in that position that we would have had on that E chord shape there, okay? But we're going to do that as an E minor. We're then going to slide that forwards 1 fret. And we're going to add that bar across the first fret to give you your F minor. Your second finger's kind of just floating there. Okay, the next set of bar chords that we're going to do are the ones that use the A chord shapes. So we're going to be looking at your A and your A minor. And believe it or not, your A and your A minor, just like the E and the E minor, are actually bar chords. The A and the A minor shapes are used in the bar chord, and when you're playing a normal A or a normal A minor, your guitar nut, again, is doing that job of holding these additional notes. Now, normally when you play an A, you don't play string 6. That's going to stay. We don't play string 6. And what we're going to do is we're going to change that to being used by your first finger. So we're going to carry on doing those A and A minor shapes with that little finger alteration, and use your first finger as the artificial nut to create those additional notes. So here we have the A chord, and I'm going to do a little bit of a finger alteration. So instead of using fingers 1 and 2 and 3, I'm going to change it to do fingers 2 and 3 and 4. Now, some of you might have noticed that that's actually how I do the A chord anyway. Then we're going to move that shape forward 1 fret, and we're going to add the bar to the first fret. Now, sometimes you get people a bit confused and they go into the second fret there. We don't. That's a no-no. That bar is going on the first fret there to create this chord shape, which is your B flat. Okay, so we have the A minor chord shape here. What we're going to do is we're just going to do a little bit of a finger adjustment. Instead of using fingers 1 and 2 and 3, we're going to change that for fingers 2, 3 and 4. Slide that forward 1 fret and add the bar to your first fret to get you the B flat minor chord. All right, so let's get down to some troubleshooting. Crikey, there's a lot of reading and listening to me waffle involved in getting these bar chords right. Well, they are a big pain in the bum of a chord to get right in the first place, so I'm sorry. So just want to just throw in a few little things. It's just going to help you to get these bar chords a little bit easier in the long run. So we're just going to go through a few little hints and tips to help you get them right. And we're going to focus this mostly on the F chord, but it's the same hints and tips and theories for the F minor, the B flat, and the B flat minor. Okay, so number 1 is a really important one, is to keep that first finger straight and parallel to the fret. You can see here that my first finger is as straight as I can get it. It's almost like I'm pointing to the ceiling. When you point your finger, there's no bending in it. So your first finger should be straight from knuckle to tip. From knuckle to tip. Use the fret as a nice guide for how straight that finger should be. Try and keep it nice and parallel to the fret. And just like using a capo, as close to the fret as you can get it. If it's all the way back here, that's a lot of buzzing room for your note there. So try and keep it as close to the fret as you can as straight as you can and as parallel as you can. So we don't want this or this, and any other things like that. So number 2, keeping the other fingers properly standing up. Now when you're pressing down on the bar chord, it's very easy for your other fingers to just collapse a little bit. The pushing is mostly all focused on that first joint in your finger, which is not naturally very strong. We've had this a couple of times as we were doing just your normal chords. So getting the push down whilst keeping those fingers upright is a fiddly thing to do. If they do collapse, you'll end up muting the other strings, and we really don't want that. We want to try and keep those fingers as straight and upright as we possibly can. So we don't want to see this, we want to see this. Alright, so number 3, keeping your wrist low. All the other chords that you've done up till now have had your wrist sort of up, you know, at the back of your guitar neck there, and your palm of your hand touching the back of your guitar neck. It's not so with the bar chords. In order to keep that first finger completely straight, you need to lower the whole hand position to accommodate this change. Okay, so let's just take a closer video look at that. Okay, so just giving you a little bit of glimpse into my behind the scenes world here, but what we're going to do on this F chord is just to show you how the hand position changes. So if I sort of show you a C chord, a normal C chord there, you can see quite clearly that the wrist is high up. The palm of my hand is touching the back of the guitar there. And then compare that to the F chord, you can massively see, you know, how much space there is there. The wrist drops down. There's nothing, apart from the thumb, there's nothing touching the back of the neck there. So yeah, you do need to just get used to, as you move, say for instance, between a C chord and an F, you know, G chord and an F, A chord and an F, you can really see how that hand position drops each time. So the last thing I want to go through is this idea of the 5th string bar chord, the A shape of bar chords. Some people find that stretch between your first finger and fingers 2 and 3 and 4 a bit weird on that B flat chord and all your other bar chords that are going to use that shape. Plus, as we go higher and higher up the neck, obviously your frets get smaller and smaller, so there's less room to fit those notes, those fingers in there. So what's happened over, you know, the course of guitar player evolution is a few different ways of approaching this shape have appeared, and I just want to take a little bit of time to give you these alternatives just in case you're one of those people who finds that a bit odd. You don't have to use them. The teacher in me is just showing you these as alternatives just in case you are able to do them and you find them easier. This is the way that you've seen it done already when I was demoing the bar chords for you on the A bar chord there. As you go through these sheets and this learning book, this is the way you'll see it with these finger positions whenever I show you this bar chord. This is because this is the accepted correct way of playing this chord. But if you choose to do one of the others, please feel free to just adjust the fingering to your heart's content. So these options really depend on how limber your 3rd and 4th fingers are. Okay, so you might hit a stumbling block from the first go here because they need the first joint to sort of be bent back slightly, if I can sort of get my fingers in there. So there's that first joint in your hand to be sort of bent back ever so slightly, either like that or like that. Some people can do that with ease, some people struggle, so you know, that might be your stumbling blocks from the first go. So the first way is to substitute fingers 2 and 3 and 4 for just that finger 3. We're keeping the bar here the same all the way through that, but we just, instead of having fingers 2 and 3 and 4 there, we're lying that 3rd finger down where fingers 2 and 3 and 4 would be, and you can see there how that third finger bends differently to get those notes in there, to get that B flat chord. The alternative way, not using that third finger, is to do your fourth finger. And again, you can see how that is bent in a strange way. I'm still using my bar as normal here to get you that B flat there. If I'm totally honest, that way with the 4 is the way that I do this A shape bar chord. Okay, this is the way that I would do a B flat. So sometimes as we go through the learning process and I'm doing that chord shape, you know, as we're going around, this is the shape that you'll see me do, but that doesn't mean to say that you have to do that shape. This is just what I do. You could do that one, you could do that one, you know, do whatever you feel makes you comfortable. Now the little thing with either of those, this one and this one, is that first string ends up being dead by either the third or the fourth finger. You don't have to work hard to sort of avoid strumming it. It's just the way it is, so don't panic. Now all of these ways are going to feel really odd at first, especially if you've not even got used to the real way of doing it. But just sort of give them a good go. You might just come to rely on one of them more than any of the others. And like I say, if I'm honest, that one is the one that I do. So I've said it before, the bar chords are H.A.R.D. They are hard. So before you even attempt the next batch of songs, spend some time just getting those chords sounding nice, because that alone will take some time. Now, what you can do when you do go into the songs accompanying the bar chords, you'll see there's strumming patterns with them. But what you can do at first to help your hand move to those bar chord shapes is you can just do single strums. So we can revert back a little bit if you wanted to. Rather than doing, you know, rock strum and all that kind of stuff, you could just do one strum of each chord, just getting those bar chords nice. Just a little addendum is, what on earth is a sharp and what on earth is a flat? Well, now that you're practicing your bar chords, you'll be required to move the shapes that you're doing forwards and backwards around the neck more and more. And in doing this, you'll inevitably come across a few chord names that you'll be like, whoa, what does that mean? The biggest ones of these are the sharps, which look like this, and the flats, which look like this. So up until the end of section 3, changing chords weirdly, we were just dealing with what we call natural notes. So these are the notes that, you know, are named after the first 7 notes of the alphabet. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And the minor versions of all of those. You might be familiar with these as the white keys on the piano. Maybe not. Maybe you've never looked. Maybe you should. Now, your guitar obviously doesn't have different coloured frets like a piano has different coloured keys, so it's not as obvious as to spot where these sharps and flat notes are, but they are there. And these notes are called accidentals, these sharps and flats. They're called accidental notes. These are the notes that are positioned in between the natural notes. So that would be the black keys on the piano. So you will have heard these accidental notes by their everyday name, which is what we're doing, is the sharps and the flats. It's also really important to note that not all your natural notes are accompanied with an accidental. Most of them are, but not all. So for instance, when we did the bar chords a moment ago, when we learned F, we went from E to F. No accidental, no E sharp in there. It went straight from E, straight to F. However, when we went from A, we then went to B flat, not to B. We didn't go A, B, we went B flat. So there was an accidental there. Where these accidentals get a little bit confusing is the fact that they could be either a sharp or a flat. The same note could be either a sharp or a flat. An A sharp note sounds exactly the same as a B flat note. They are identical. And knowing whether or not to call a note a sharp or a flat can get quite confusing. So how do we know which note to use to name these chords? Now, it is important to know which name to use. There is a way that you can do it. It's all to do with what key your song is in. This relies on you knowing enough about music theory to know that certain keys of songs have either sharps or flats. It is important that you learn this, but not yet. All of this is explained later on as we get into more music theory. Quite frankly, you've got enough on your plate right now worrying about learning your bar chords without having to worry about should my note that I'm playing be a sharp or a flat. So as we go through this section, you'll notice some chords are named something flat and some chords are named something sharp. I'm asking you to just sort of go with it in the promise that it all will become clear later on when you learn music theory, which you should learn. So what I promised to you earlier on is that learning these bar chord shapes will mean that you will be able to come out of this area here and expand your entire neck. And that is absolutely true. Now, the way we do that is to move the bar chords around. Okay, you keep the same shapes, just move them to different places on your fretboard. Okay, and that will give you these different shapes. I go into this more clearly and more in depth when we're learning how to remember the notes on the guitar, because I think that moving your bar chords around, as we go into further bar chords and stuff, it really helps you to know what notes you're playing on the guitar. So if you want to head over to that video now, the link is in the description.